Welcome everyone. Welcome. We have another show from the Nachalei Emunah Hasidic Institute here in Richmond, Virginia. And once again, anyone's welcome anytime. If you're in the Richmond area, come join us for services. You can look at our website for more information or email us. This Shabbos is a very big Shabbos, a lot of stuff going on. Maybe by the time you see this it might be already later, but it's worthwhile to talk about it. You know, it'll be worthy for next year, and really the messages are year-round messages. This week's Torah readings, we have the crossing of the Red Sea, we have the manna, we have the war with Amalek, we have a lot of things going on. The song by the sea, we call it Shabbos Shira, the Sabbath of song, but also it happens to be, on the calendar, it's the 15th of Shvat. And the day Chamishah Asar Shvat, Mishnah says, according to Beis Shammai, the first day of Shvat is the Rosh Hashanah L'Ilan. It's the New Year for the trees. But we paskin, we follow the opinion of Beis Hillel. Beis Hillel teaches that the 15th of Shvat, people call Tu B'Shvat, Chamishah Asar B'Shvat, is the New Year for the tree. And that's really, as far as the Mishnah and the Talmud is concerned, it's really a legal definition as far as when the tithes of fruit-bearing trees, when the fruit, does it belong to this year's tithe or last year's tithe, because each year has different laws. You have 10% that goes to the Levite, and then another 10% that, depending on the year, either goes to a poor person or you bring it to Jerusalem to eat in Jerusalem and to rejoice before the Lord, as the Torah tells us. But the Kabbalists revealed to us, and it seems to be an ancient tradition, that on the 15th of Shvat, that the custom is to eat fruit. And we see this custom, it's mentioned many places, and the Kabbalists go deep into it, and they have a whole order of how to eat the fruits, which order to eat them, and different study associated with each fruit, Bible passages from the Talmud, passages from the Zohar for each fruit, and different communities follow different customs. Generally, if you see in the Hasidic communities, the Rabbi will have a tish on the day of Tu B'Shvat, of the 15th of Shvat, and will eat fruit and share it with the community, and particularly the esrog. First, particularly the 7 fruits that the Holy Land is praised for: wheat and barley, grapes, pomegranates, dates, olives, and figs. Those 7 species for which the book of Deuteronomy mentions that the Holy Land is praised for, and those are eaten. But also the esrog, the citron fruit that we bring on the Feast of Tabernacles and the holiday of Sukkot, we also are eating on Tu B'Shvat. The Rabbi from Dinah, the Bnei Yissaschar, he said that you should pray for a good esrog on the 15th of Shvat, and actually the Rabbi of Baghdad, the Ben Ish Chai, Rabbi Yosef Chaim from Baghdad, actually composed a beautiful prayer that many people, both from the Sephardic community, the Hasidic community, and all communities, will choose to recite this prayer on the 15th of Shvat, to pray for a good esrog. He mentions there also all the fruits. We need grapes to have wine for Kiddush and Havdalah, and we need wheat for matzah and for challah and so forth, and all kinds of fruit, and everything should be blessed on this day. Why specifically eating the fruit? What does that have to do with, how does that bring the blessing, eating it? Interesting, the Kabbalists mention that eating the fruit on the 15th of Shvat fixes the sin of Adam. We know the original sin was eating a fruit. It was really stealing because the fruit didn't belong to him. So he stole the fruit and ate it because God told him not to eat it, and he did. But what's going on here? Why, by us eating fruit, we can fix that sin? So the way it's been explained, maybe we can add on to this video. Can download as a video. A friend of mine, a very wonderful Avrech. He lives in Woodmere, New York. David Jassy, should be well. He makes wonderful videos and he actually put together a video from an old video of the holy tzaddik, the holy Rebbe Bigda Miller, talking about how wonderful it is to eat fruit and to have fruit, and what a tremendous sign that is. And Rabbi Miller was a very strict creationist, and even though it's not what's really agreed on in all the circles, but he was a very literalist creationist, and certainly that's a kosher view within the views of Judaism. It's certainly not against Judaism to adopt that view. If someone wants to believe maybe a less literal approach, if it's based on the words of the sages, particularly Kabbalistic words, that's also permitted each way, is okay. As long as you recognize that God's the creator and he did everything and he controls everything, runs everything. How he did it, how long it took, whatever. Alright, you can... I wouldn't say one's a heretic for taking one view or another, as long as you recognize that God's the one who did it. But this point that he's bringing really is not really so much of an issue of the literalist view. This is something everyone can agree on from the Torah perspective. Even though there are, from the Rishonim, you do have statements that say, you can't just learn the existence of God from nature. You have to have revelation, prophecy, the Torah, to really know God. But still, we can recognize the greatness of God from his creation. But more than that, we can recognize the love of God. And that's really, they say that when Rabbi Miller was a young man already, he would carry around with him little seeds of fruits. And he would say, these are love letters from God. And he would talk about this all the time. I remember meeting him when he was in his 90s. He was talking about this idea. Books that he wrote when he was in his 50s and his 60s and 70s. Also, he spoke about the same ideas. This was something that was throughout his whole life, in addition to all parts of the Torah. He was particularly connected to these things and to the teachings of Chofetz Levavos. Why? Because it's not just a piece of information you put in your brain. It has to be a devotion to develop a relationship with God. But the first step is to have the information. When you think about the information, most people don't stop to think how amazing an apple is. That, how can anyone imagine that it was just blind chance that somehow knew that there would be other creatures that exist in the world that would have eyes that could see reflected light and discern different colors and be attracted to one color or another emotionally, to have olfactory nerves to know, to be attracted to a particular smell, to have taste buds, to appreciate a taste, together with the olfactory nerves. Blind chance doesn't know these things. There had to be a designer, creator, who's aware of this. It's... maybe you could say it doesn't have to be, but it points in a very clear way that it most probably is. And we know from the revelation that God revealed in front of millions of people that it's indeed so. It's not, we know these things from tradition, from revelation, from prophecy in a clear way. And this is knowledge, not just faith. But point is that it's a beautiful thing, it's a wonderful thing of how God demonstrates his love for us. He wants us to enjoy the world. Rabbi Miller would talk often about watermelons, about how watermelon is a family project, he said. So the outside is still green, so you don't want to eat the whole thing and get a bellyache, but the inside is red, is something again that catches the eye and attracts us to eat it. But nothing's wasted. There's no pigment on the inside of the rind, and that's a pale color, and nothing's wasted. And the seed itself is slippery, but the rest of the watermelon is not slippery. Also, the point is to propagate the species further. And there was obviously knowledge, whoever designed this amazing thing, that there would be animals and people interacting with these things that would help to propagate the species. And furthermore, just think about a seed, what a seed is by itself. Stored in the seed is all the information. We have a lot of books here. All these books here are nothing compared to the amount of information that's stored within the seed. But not only information, but the mechanism